Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity. I'm so grateful to sit before you as your minister and your spiritual leader. I am Reverend Marla Mason, and Unity is the place where we are practicing what it means to wake up, to become more and more present to the truth of who we are and how to express that truth boldly in the world. We are here to love God, to love one another, to grow in our spiritual understanding, and to take that greater awareness out into the world in service to others such that we can make the world a better place for all. This month in particular, we're talking about going further together. How do we take these principles and integrate them into our own hearts, into our own lives, such that we are empowered to collectively, as a community, move forth into the world, to work in harmony with one another, to enact real, lasting spiritual awakening in the world. And so that's what we're doing this month. Today in particular, we're talking about from me to we. What does it mean to move from an idea of just me, all by myself, into the collective idea of the greater whole? So that's what we're doing today. I am pretty excited about it. There are some folks who are helping us on the journey, and those people are Susan Neidig. Thank you so much, Susan, for an amazing meditation service this morning. It really was quite empowering for me and quite moving for me. So thank you for that. Susan is also serving as your prayer chaplain today. She'll be available to you after the service to provide consciousness support and prayer support. Thank you, Susan, for standing in consciousness for our people this morning. We also have today Rita Schwarting is our board host. Grateful to welcome her. You'll be hearing from her a little bit later. And Monica McDowell-Elbig is here today as co-producer, and you'll also be hearing from her about announcements. And we have Sabrina McFadden, who is also co-producing with Monica this morning. And it's just been such a blessing to welcome Sabrina back from her maternity leave. I'm so glad you're with us. Thank you, Sabrina. So that is who stands before you in service this morning. Our musician today is Denise Rosier, and she is from the state of Colorado, and she typically joins us in video, and she is doing that again this morning with some really beautiful music. So I invite you to just rest, sit back, lean into your chair, and allow Denise's music to open your heart and inspire you to be fully present to what is happening this morning. She is a blessing to us. Denise.
Unity of Bellevue, it's Denise Rosier. Welcome to Sunday morning. It is so great to be back with you again today, and know that you are loved as you are, welcome as you are, so come as you are. Come, take a hand, come, give your heart, come, as you are, come, come, lift your voice, come, shine your light, come, now is the time, come, this day we have made with God, come see what love has done, come, take a hand, come, give your heart, come, as you are, come, lift your voice, come, shine your light, come, now is the time, come, as we gather in this sacred heart. Come as you are. Come, come, come. Lift your voice. Come, shine your light. Come, now is the time. Come, 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 come.
And so we breathe deeply and we allow ourselves to be lifted into a greater consciousness of presence as we open our hearts, as we open our minds, as we relax into this moment given by the divine, and allow ourselves to center in its flow this day. And so in that awareness, we make ourselves available through the music, through the message, to the community that we share this morning. We make ourselves available to a greater experience of spiritual truth. And we allow that truth to permeate every cell in our bodies, every moment of our awareness. In the power of the sacred yes to all that God has for us this day. And so I give thanks for this community, for the opportunity to come together in community. And I give thanks for the deepening and the opening that is taking place even now. I am so very, very grateful, and I surrender this service to that mind and heart of God that knows exactly what it is doing, and I allow it to be. And so it is. Amen. I'm going to read through the words of our affirmation for this month. And as I read, I invite you to just be receptive, to just begin to allow yourself to be in a place where these words can become true for you because they already are true for you. So listening with your spiritual ears and with your heart, hear these words. Wherever I am a presence of divine love. We are the stuff of spirit itself. As we go and grow further together, we create a world that works for everyone. And so it is. Breathe that in. And now I invite you to speak these words with me with conviction as though they were already true for you, because they are. With me together. Wherever I am a presence of divine love. We are the stuff of spirit itself. As we go and grow further together, we create a world that works for everyone. And so it is.
Love is alive in the space between us. Feel that love right now. God speaks out in the words between us. Hear those words right now. I am holy. You are holy. There is beauty between us. Spirit shines in the light between us. See that light right now. Peace is born
Denise sent me that song this last week with the question mark, do you think this is okay? And I wrote back, yeah, that is so okay. Love is alive in the space between us. It's so relevant as we continue to not meet in person. And there's this appearance of separation. There is an appearance that we're far apart. There's an appearance that we are not together. There is an energy in the seeming space between us that bonds us. Love is alive in the space between us. Love is the bond that holds us together. She says, I am holy, you are holy. There is beauty between us. And that seeming distance of space is an illusion. It's not real. And I know, I miss hugging all y'all. I completely do. I miss seeing you in person. And I know that the appearance of separation can feel very palpable, but it is not capital T truth. There is a bond. She says, faith is the bond, truth is the light between us. There is something greater than the appearance of separation that holds us together as a community. And I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful, as much as this time of, seeming separation has felt lonely, isolating at times, perhaps. I'm grateful for this time because it has taught me and it has taught us that there is more than one way to connect. It has taught us that the energy of connection is what is important. And when that love and that beauty and that bond, when we know with conviction that that is what is between us, that is the energetic, then distances of so-called space make no difference. And we actually have folks coming from far away, from Ohio and the Gambia and Nigeria, to our services and to our classes, who never could have experienced who we are without this experience of pandemic, if you will. And so although I know that all of us are looking forward to opening our building, and I'm looking forward to that too, I'm encouraging us to remember that there is also a greater idea. And I'm not saying this in preface to any news about opening our building. Our board continues to take up that discussion on a month-to-month basis. You had an opportunity recently to complete a survey about your feelings about that. And if you haven't done that yet, it's not too late. And you'll learn more later about how to do that. But I just wanted us to remember the truth that something is alive in the seeming space between us. And I'm so grateful for that aliveness and for the presence of that. And this week, I want to tell you that I learned something about the Brazil nut tree. And here's what I learned. I learned that, Patty gets her little mixed nuts and there's Brazil nuts in there. And they're these big kind of clumpy looking things. And what I learned about those nuts this week is that they're actually seeds. They're not nuts. I learned that they grow in South America, and I learned that there are quite a number of seeds inside of any one shell, and that these shells fall from the tree to the ground. And there's this little rodenty thing that comes along, and it has very strong jaws, and it breaks open the shell. And it gnaws away at the seeds and receives its nutrition from these seeds. But it doesn't finish a nut. And some of the seeds lay on the ground. Some of the seeds are buried by this little rodent and forgotten by this little rodent. And you know what? These seeds lay dormant for years. They just lay dormant under the dirt. Forgotten, by the rodent and seemingly, to all appearances, forgotten. And yet, when the conditions are just right, when the sun and the light and the moisture, when everything is hitting these seeds just right, they explode in growth. Now, there's a few things I find, they create groves and groves and groves of Brazil nut trees. And it is so fascinating to me because the rodent who initiates this entire process knows nothing of that. The rodent knows of its immediate need to satisfy its hunger. And it cracks open the shell and it eats some seeds, it buries others, some lay on the dirt. And 20 years later, there's a Brazil nut tree. And the rodent is long gone and knows nothing about that. The rodent is just doing what it does. And by doing what it does, it's laying down a forest of Brazil nut trees. It's me creates a very powerful we. And so I was thinking this week as I learned about the Brazil nut tree that our we as individual humans contributes to a way of being for humanity, for all of humanity, and not just humanity, but for all of creation. And oftentimes we know not what we do. Each one of us has this creative power to learn, to grow, to deepen in spirit, to plant seeds of good, to make the world a better place, to individually cultivate an awareness of something greater. And certainly that is part of what we do here at Unity, isn't it? We provide opportunities for you to love, to grow, to serve, to deepen in your spiritual understanding, to learn more and more fully what it means to love God and to love one another, and what it means to apply those two practices to being of service to one another and to the world. And we are about that. We are about giving each individual the individual skills to harness their own potential, their own creative power, to be about it. And yet, humans do not exist in a vacuum. Humans not only don't exist in a vacuum, we have a need. We are communal beings. We have a need to belong. We have a need to be in community with one another. We have a need to connect. That if that need is not fulfilled, we do not thrive. So not only do we have an individual ability to grow, to learn, to expand, and apply those principles in our own lives, we are communal beings who have this need to connect. And that need is what draws us to spiritual community to do that work. Because honestly, we don't teach anything you can't get in a book. You can sit at home, in your corner and, read a lot of books and get the information. What we don't get when we are in the journey alone is the connection and the deepening and the practice that spiritual community provides. It's so interesting. Some of you know that a few months ago, Patty and I adopted a dog. Her name is Molly. And I've never had a dog before. And she is the sweetest thing ever. And I'm learning about what does a dog need to thrive. And a dog needs, some individual things. It needs food and water and it's so interesting. Dogs need to sniff. I had no idea how much dogs need to sniff. I mean, we can go for a walk around the block and it can take like 35 minutes because this dog needs to sniff everything. And not only that, I learned that if you just, I mean, you can train a dog to just walk without sniffing. And we're working on that. We actually are making great progress on that, getting her to just walk on the short leash and heel and be a good little puppy dog and walk by us. But you know what else is important? That she be able to just sniff things, that she be on a walk and have the opportunity to just sniff at things. Dogs who can't do that don't thrive. But one of the most important things I'm learning about dogs is they need community. They need to be connected to other dogs. And she's our only dog. So we are working on figuring out ways to get her connected to other dogs. We took her to this big old dog park recently. The biggest one she's ever been in. We'd never seen her run like that. I mean, I can't believe how she runs. She's an amazing runner. But it was interesting to me that even in the confines of this really big dog park, she did not run alone. She was not interested in running alone. She ran when there was another dog who would run with her. That was fascinating to me. You know, she goes, you know, come on, play with me, play with me. And then there were actually two that day she found who would really run with her, and they were flying. You see, she is a communal being. And we are communal beings. We must have a connection. We must have a sense of belonging to something greater than we are to truly run full out into our intentions for life. And the cool thing about this is, yes, you know, I have an individual creative power in which I can set my intentions and live into my potential. And our collective power to set intentions and live into our potential amplifies and magnifies my individual ability to do that. My community, when I become willing to move from me to we, my ability to go further, to do more, to live more fully is amplified. Our collective opportunity to make a greater difference on planet Earth is amplified and magnified because community supports, it lifts, it inspires. It allows us to run full out because we are enlivened. Because our need to be connected is so deep and so powerful. And I believe that, you know, our spiritual community allows me to take risks, for example, that I might not otherwise take. Because what I know is I am supported. Because I have you to support me. And you have me to support you. You have us collectively to support you. And so you too are empowered to perhaps risk something you might not. You know, in our classes, I watch people take risks all the time. In the Brene Brown class right now, we're studying the idea of wholehearted living. What does it mean to live wholeheartedly? And Brene Brown says that means that at the end of the day, we can say to ourselves, no matter what got done or was left undone, I am enough. That's what it means to live wholeheartedly. And she says, you know, courage, compassion, and connection are the tools we need on the journey toward and through and in wholehearted living. And so in that class, we're practicing that. What does courage mean? Well, courage means take risks. What does compassion mean? It means having, you know, providing support to those who are taking risks. What does courage, compassion, connection mean? We support one another collectively as we take risks. You see, that kind of microcosm of our larger spiritual community is empowering the, you know, 10 people in that class to learn and grow and deepen in ways that they perhaps would not have been able to do. Our small groups are providing opportunities for people to be supported in living more fully into these principles through the energy of their intentions to live more powerfully, to embody that creative power consciously, to make the world a better place because that's who they are. We belong to the infinite good, and we are inspired to duplicate that nature of infinite good in the world and create a world that works for everyone, because that's what God does. That's what Spirit does. But it's risky work. It's scary work. And praise God, we have each other to support us as we do that risky work. And you see, you might notice I'm talking about you individually, and I'm talking about unity collectively, but I'm also talking about the way our community enlivens and empowers us to take our message, our principles, our practices out into the world to make the world a better place. Because there is, my individual humanness, and then there is our collective, community as unity, where I get to live into my need to be communal. But we also belong to a planetary community. We also belong to humanity, and we also belong to all life here on Earth, and we also belong to a universal beingness. All of these things are part of us. We live, move, have our being in the body, in the mind, in the heart of God. And our need to be connected, when fulfilled, supports us in realizing that, in living into that. You see, unity, as I told you last week, unity is about creating a spiritual home for those who wish to experience powerful opportunities for growth, deep spiritual understanding, personal transformation in community, those who wish to make a difference in the world from that place of empowered living. We talked last week about how there's really only one thing happening. We talk every week about this. This is all we ever talk about. There's really only one thing happening. And it might look like I'm separate. It might look like I am individual, but I am actually part of a collective entity. We have our being in this one entity. We express as part of this one entity, and we express its diversity through our individual expression of the divine. And if you want to review last week's lesson, it's on our YouTube channel. Check it out. As an individual, you make a difference. As an individual, I make a difference. I may not know it. I'm like the rodent who cracks that seed open, the Brazil nut seed, and just leaves the seed or buries the seed in the ground. I may not know that I make a difference, but I do make a difference. You may not know that you make a difference, but you do. The trick is, what kind of a difference am I making? Am I using the creative power with which I am endowed to make a positive, loving difference in the world? Or am I grousing and complaining and whining and planting, seeds of discontent and separation and division? And let me tell you, those seeds grow pretty powerful trees too. Right? What kind of trees, what kind of grove do you want to grow in the greater community? You get to choose, and so do I. And the cool thing is, even when I forget that my intention is to make a difference, a positive, loving difference in the world, even when I forget that, I am not forgotten. I am not forgotten. You see, our principles are still our principles. Our God is still our God. Love is still the supreme being in the universe. I'm still in the web of that love. I'm still held by something infinite. And in my humanness, perhaps I have forgotten. And the culture helps us forget. I haven't been feeling well for a few weeks, and I've watched a little bit of daytime TV. That's actually not true. I've snoozed to some daytime TV here in the last couple of weeks, and let's see, I've watched some Perry Mason and some Matlock and some older programs. And you know what I really notice? The people who play these characters are not polished. They actually have pores. They actually, are perhaps not the most attractive people by today's standards. And then, when you turn on something that is a program with contemporary characters, these people have no pores. These are the most attractive people. I saw a meme on Facebook the other day, and I can't remember who it was. It was somebody from history, Oliver Cromwell or something like that. And it showed the picture of him, a painting of him as he actually was, or close to that, a depiction of him as he was. It was a painting that was done in his lifetime, a portrait. And next to it was the picture of the actor who played him, right, in some recent television show. And, the costuming was the same, but can I tell you, this person was not like the best looking person by, standards of balance and symmetry and all the things that we think about when we think about human beauty or facial attractiveness. And the character who played him in a recent television show, perfection, like everything that we currently find attractive, right? And so it's interesting to me that when I forget, when I feel alone, when I feel separate, when I feel imperfect, when I feel not enough, when I feel like I'm not measuring up, although our principles are still our principles, our God is still our God, love is still the glue that supports me in the web of infinite love. The culture does not support me in knowing that. It tells me I'm not good enough. It tells me I don't measure up because I have pores, right? There are so many messages that just come to us all the time about how we are not good enough. But that is not the truth. That is not the capital T truth. Appearance is pretty much irrelevant. Even when I'm behaving badly, forgetting that my intention is to be the presence of love in the world, even that doesn't matter in a sense, because I am always presented with the opportunity to be different every single moment. I had an experience a number of years ago now with someone who was living with Patty and I temporarily, and we clashed. And she went stomping off down to her bedroom. And about half an hour later, she came out and she said, I've decided to adjust my attitude. And it was such a moment. Like, I've decided, it was just like, awesome, right? Not that she was wrong and we were right, but that she had decided to adjust her attitude. And, then Patty and I got to kind of look at, what do we need to adjust? Is there anything we need to adjust? Do you see? So here we could have allowed ourselves to get caught up in a web of division. We could have allowed ourselves to get caught up in the story that somehow that person doesn't measure up, or somehow we didn't handle that very well, we don't measure up. But we had an opportunity to simply adjust our attitude, and the whole thing resolved itself perfectly. From a place of greater self-awareness, from a place of being willing to see that we belong to something greater. And that something, at its most essence, is love. The thing that strikes me most about the Brazil nut tree and the little rodent is the idea that it doesn't know the difference it's making. It's just doing what it does, yes? And groves of Brazil nut trees are the result. And this made me think of, sometimes I have this, habit of thinking, well, you should be doing something bigger with your life. Have you really given it your all? Are you really doing everything you can do? You should be doing something bigger with your life. And then I'm reminded of a time, this was about 10 years ago. I ran into a woman in the grocery store in West Seattle. We ran into each other, and she stopped me. She was like, "Oh my gosh, are you Marla?" And I'm, yes. And she said, "Yeah, you don't know me, but I was at this particular center where I was a speaker one Sunday." And she said, "And you said," and she told me what she said, what she said I said. I didn't remember her. I didn't remember the speaking engagement. I didn't remember that I said that, although it sounded like something I would say. But I didn't actually say it. Somebody else said it, and I read and I studied and I integrated it into my practice, and then it came out on a Sunday morning somewhere, right? So I didn't even make it up. And she said, "You can't believe the difference you made in my life." Like that day, everything changed for me. She's like, "And you know what?" She said, I really started to work on myself, and I got really clear about some stuff that was driving." And she had this whole story she's telling me. And she says, "And then I met a man." And she said, like, I would not have even seen him 6 months before. She was like, I didn't have, the ability to see him as someone who had the potential to be my beloved, because I was not ready. And I needed what you said to me to even be able to see him and to say yes when he asked me out on a date. And she said, "We're getting married in a couple months." And I am so happy. And she and I actually that day, in the store, we connected on Facebook. And so we sort of stayed in touch. I've never seen her again, but we sort of stayed in touch on Facebook. And I have watched her over those years. And now they're celebrating. I recently saw, I can't remember if it was their 9th or 10th wedding anniversary. Thrilled and happy. Now, I planted a Brazil nut seed that morning. I had no clue what I was doing. And I made a powerful difference in someone's life just by doing what I do. And that's enough. If that's the only thing I ever did in ministry, I'm thinking about this a lot, you guys, because if you weren't here last week, you may not know that last week I announced that I am retiring from ministry at the end of this year. And so I'm reflecting a lot on, what has this career brought me, and what has this career meant to the world? And have I done really what's mine to do? And I remembered that story, and I remembered her, and, if that's it, it's kind of enough, isn't it? And that led me to thinking about, yes, I am retiring from ministry at the end of this year, but what does that really mean? And, about 10 years ago, I heard a colleague say, I thought it was corny at the time, but now I'm appreciating it really deeply. I heard her say, "Oh no, I'm not retiring, I'm rewiring." And I realized, remembering that this week, that none of us ever retires, that really what we do is we rewire for a new way of being in the world, that we take an opportunity to bring a clear halt to one way of being, and we rewire, and we give ourselves the opportunity to set some new intentions and move into a new way of being. And that this thing we call retirement is really just an opportunity to have a clear boundary, right? And how grateful I am to remember that, and to remember that knowing that, whatever this has been about for me, surely the little rodent that I am in ministry has planted more than one seed of good in the world. And I'm grateful to know that about me. And I know that about our spiritual community. And I know that about you. I know that you have planted seeds of good in the world, that I don't know exactly what the story might be if you ran into someone in a grocery store, but you've made a difference in somebody's life. Somebody said the other day, you know what, I put the grocery cart back in the rack. Do you do that? And another person said, oh my gosh, every time I go to the grocery store, I put my cart back and I run around the parking lot and I put all the other carts back. She says, because what if somebody accidentally hit a cart and got a dent in their car? And I thought, what a beautiful thing. What a great little rodent thing to do. You know, somebody could hit a cart and get a dent in their car, and you are willing to take an extra 5 minutes as you leave the grocery store and do something to help ensure that doesn't happen. That's a pretty small thing, but it's a big thing, because it's a willingness to be of service in the world, to crack open a nut, to plant a seed of good. And so it's not about, we think about, should we be doing something bigger? Are we doing, it's not about big or small or enough or not enough. None of it is about that. Because what it is about is recognizing that we live in this web of interconnectedness, that although I individually am a conscious spiritual being doing my own work, that work is part of a greater whole and contributing to something greater. And here's what's really beautiful. The woman that I ran into in the grocery store probably doesn't even really know this, but she gave me a gift back, right? From her perspective, I gave her a gift. The gift she gave me back is 10 years later, as I reflect back on my time in ministry, I have that memory of her planting a beautiful seed with me. Do you see how that works? She thought I gave her the gift. Wrong. She gave me the gift. And 10 years later, I feel, when I thought of this earlier this week, I thought, it's like opening a new present. I got a present this week. And what a beautiful thing. And so, you make a difference. And as a community, we make a difference. You belong to something greater than you are. You belong to Unity of Bellevue. Your potential amplified and magnified by the power of spiritual community. And your intention and how you show up here matters. Like, when I think of that rodent, it's on automatic, right? It doesn't have the power of intention, anything beyond cracking open a nut to get the next meal, right? You are many magnifieds of, multiples of consciousness beyond the rodent. Your intention, you have the power of intention. You have the power of consciousness to set an intention for something greater. And if a rodent can create groves of Brazil nut trees, what can you do with the power of your conscious intention? You are significant. You make a difference. You contribute. Now we're moving into the time of year when we talk about stewardship. And when we're talking about stewardship, we're talking about what is the energy of your intention as a financial supporter of this spiritual community? And how do you circulate the energy of that intention, both to support yourself on your own conscious spiritual journey and to support this community in making a difference in the world? And during the stewardship month, every year, we always do this time of year, we are asking you to consider and to declare your intention of financial support. I'm not asking you to do that today. I'm asking you to spend the next few weeks considering your intention and how you will do that, how you will financially support us in 2022. And we do that for two reasons. The first reason is we need to write a budget. Your board of trustees needs to write a budget for 2022. And number two, the second reason, we need to be able to write a budget that supports you in your intentions so that this community can amplify and magnify those intentions and the possibility and the potential, not just for your life, but for a great and mighty good to unfold in the world. And so today I'm just introducing the idea to consider this in the coming week or two. how you wish to circulate the energy of your financial intentions in service to this community, which is in service to something greater, right? And you're going to be given an opportunity on November 7th. We are going to have a launch. That launch will either be here online after the service. There is some possibility there's a board meeting this week in which we will be considering again the reopening date for our building. If we are back in our building by November 7th, which there's a possibility, we'll both stream and have that event in person. We'll see. Just put on your calendar, save the date right now for immediately following the service on November 7th, where you'll learn more about our plans. You'll learn more about where we've been. You'll learn more about the transition process into a new minister, and begin to really be given that opportunity to declare those intentions. For now, let's move into prayer. Bringing your attention to your breath. Feeling your breath move freely and effortlessly in your physical body. Allowing yourself to anchor in the conscious awareness of the web of love in which you live and move and have your being. Let us all allow our consciousness to expand, allow our hearts to open as every cell vibrates with the power of love. We begin to connect with the energy of our intentions. We begin to recognize that we are significant, that we make a difference. And as you breathe, know with me that power, that presence, that love expressing divinely as you move through the coming week. I know that each one of us steps forth boldly in the power of love this week. We are living into the infinite potential and all that God has for us. And so we walk in love. We walk in connection, deeply aware that there's only one thing happening, one heart, one mind, and that we are intricately connected with one another. And so even when things seem difficult or somebody you don't like, declare, I am at one with something greater. And that something greater includes this person, this situation, this circumstance. This seeming imperfection is part of the glory of the infinite, part of the glory of me. And I do give thanks for our burgeoning awareness of this truth. I give thanks for this beautiful spiritual community that lifts and inspires us every single day of our lives. I give thanks for the infinite mind and heart that makes it possible. And I call it good and very, very good. And I release this prayer and I close this message. And so it is. Amen.
We are goodness, grace beyond measure. We are peace, here and now. We are wholeness, thriving perfection. We are love. We are love. We are life, free and abundant. We are joy, awakened We are love. We are spirit, open and boundless. We are love. We are love.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Marla, for another powerful message. Your story about the shopping cart reminded me of a Mother Teresa quote. She said, "We cannot all do great things, but we can do small things with great love." And now we get to share our abundance and gifts with our love offerings and tithes as we support our spiritual community, living love at Unity of Bellevue, whether we're together on a screen and looking forward to being in person. Please join up on your screen. There's all the kinds of methods of making your love offerings and tithes. Please join me in our love offering affirmation. Together, I give freely and for the joy of giving. I know that seeds sown in love produce an overflowing harvest of good for me, for the center, and for all people. Lovingly I give, joyfully I receive, and so it is.
I give thanks for the gift, for the giver. I give thanks for the divine mind that makes it all possible. And I bless and I consecrate these gifts to the good use of this center. I am so very, very grateful for the loving universal support we receive and for the support we give through the gift of our own tithe. And so it is. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Monica McDowell Elvig, and I have some announcements for you today. We are, first of all, welcoming all of you who are new to Unity of Bellevue. We invite you to shift from me to we, and we have a lot of awesome events that help you do that, groups, small groups, and everything that we're going to talk about. But in the meantime, the best way to stay in touch with us is to sign up for our weekly e-newsletter. Go to our website, unityofbellevue.org, and at the bottom of every page is a sign-up form for that newsletter. It comes out every Thursday morning. And Susan Neidig is here to tell us about the first small group event happening this week. Susan.
Hi, thank you, Monica. So I'm going to tell you about all the small groups because this week is the last week to sign up. We're all starting this week. Mine kicks off tomorrow at 1 to 2:30 on Zoom, and it's called Living in Love, where we're going to use a lot of different media to discuss, how do we show up? How do we show up as love when we're challenged in today's with today's issues and challenges and everything that we're faced with. That kicks off on Monday. Kate Rose from the Gambia will be kicking off Walking Through the Eye of the Storm on Thursday at 12:30. 12:30 to 2 on Zoom. And then our beloved Mandy will be kicking off Cultivating Community on Saturday. The link is in the chat for how to register for the small groups. And I want to just give a little bit of personal testimony for a small group. The first small group I ever participated in, there were 5 of us, and we met in someone's condo in Redmond. It was one of the spirit groups. And I have to tell you, it was a major part of me committing in a larger way to service to this community. The connection that I experienced with that group, the support that I got from that group, just kind of changed my heart and opened up for me the possibility of what that kind of an experience of a small group could be like. So come check out our small groups, register, click on the link register for a group and start opening to that experience this week. Thanks.
Thank you, Susan. I myself am a small group junkie. I've been in a small group almost every year of my life since junior high, and it is a key to spiritual transformation. So sign up. Okay, today also we have a prayer circle starting after service. We'll take a 3-minute break. Susan Neidig is our prayer chaplain, so join us if you would like to join in powerful affirmative prayer together. It is more than the sum of its parts, so just stay on. You can also email them at prayerchaplains@unityofbellevue.org if you have any prayer requests. We also have our weekly ongoing group every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, Living What Matters. We're learning a new spiritual practice every Wednesday, so join us for that. The Zoom link is in the chat. And Sabrina now has some announcements for us. We don't hear you, Sabrina. Do you want me to do the announcements or do you want to keep trying there, Sabrina? Me? Let me do them? Okay. So Sabrina, sorry about that, Sabrina. She has 2 announcements. One was for Trunk or Treat that's coming up on Saturday, October 30th, 5 to 7. It's a great opportunity to introduce Unity of Bellevue to the families in our neighborhood, in our area. It's an opportunity to decorate your trunks for kids and have some fun, some socially distanced fun. So sign up for decorating your car trunk, and also sign up, email Sabrina for any kind of volunteering if you want to donate candy or goodies. So check in with Sabrina about that. There's also a Blue Jeans Saturday coming up on Saturday, November 6th. Did I get the date on that right? And that's starting at 10 a.m. So email Sabrina m@unityofbellevue.org if you would like to take a part in beautifying our grounds as we look towards the winter and also perhaps being back in our building. We have a Pet Blessing Sunday coming up on November 7th. If you would like your pet to be blessed during our slideshow, our online slideshow, email me a picture of your pet. We're looking forward to that. Also coming up, a new members class is happening in November on Tuesday evenings. This is free. It does not obligate you to join, but we would invite you to consider that at the end of the class. Also, there's a survey, if you haven't taken a part in the survey about coming back to the building, your comfort level, your wanting to volunteer or not. That's also in the chat. So have a great week. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Monica. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm so grateful for all who stand in service to our community, and I'm grateful for all of you who comprise our community. I want you to take a moment as we prepare to hear one more beautiful song from Denise Rosier. I want you to take a moment to imagine our new parking lot filled with our cars on October 30th, decorated for the holidays, and lots of little kids in costumes running around receiving their Halloween surprises. It's such a great way to build community, you guys. Come on out, and you have to sign up in advance, okay? So just go to the website. There's a page for it. Get signed up. It's a great way for us to do an outdoor activity and to serve the kids, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you there. Patty and I are going to decorate our car, that's for sure. All right, thanks everybody. Have a great week. Open your hearts to one more song. Join Prayer Circle in just a moment. I'm so grateful for you all. Bye-bye.
We are one. We are one. We are all one. We